Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Vampire Diaries podcast, Season 5, Episode 17. I have no clue what the name of this episode is. I'm your host, Dom, and this week, Enzo kills Stefan's doppelganger, the travelers commit mass suicide, and Marcos makes a surprising arrival directly through Bonnie. And, I got hungry. But first, my co-host, Omikins. Hi.
Hi.
What's that face for?
That looks like it tastes disgusting.
It's blood. Blood tastes great. Blood is good.
No.
No?
No.
So you're not a vampire? No. You a witch?
I'm a witch, remember?
Oh, this is...
Because somebody hadn't met a witch before. And
This is true. This is very true. Shout out to Andre,
yeah.
the giant.
Today.
Yeah. So it's been about 2 weeks now since this episode aired. We've been busy, have not gotten around to it. But it comes back this week, so we figured we had to get this in under the wire.
Mm-hmm.
You actually didn't watch the episode till last night, correct? Or today? It was today.
Till like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, perfect.
That's when it ended.
I watched it 2 weeks ago, so I'm a little hazy. You're gonna help me remember exactly what happened.
Okay,
right?
I'll try my best.
If I remember correctly, the episode starts out and Damon and Elena made a mistake, right?
That lasted all night long.
Yeah, it was an all night mistake. How many more mistakes are they gonna make?
I don't know. I'm considering that Damon is seemingly letting her go, and they really didn't have any more mistakes other than the visions they had or daydreams or whatever. I don't know if anything's gonna happen. I think what's coming is gonna have them occupied.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't this episode. Last week was the one where they played, or the one before that was the one where they played parent-teacher conference, or was that this episode?
That was this episode.
That was this episode. What did you think of that whole little dynamic, how that played out? Where, like, Elena goes in, right? She's, like, going in expecting to be the legal guardian, and Elena's not signed up to be the legal guardian, and then she's like, who is? And here comes Damon strolling in behind her.
Well, I mean, it was her decision when she was all loopy.
Right.
Going to college and things.
Right. But does Damon really see, like, the parent role model type?
Of course not. No.
I think that was the whole humor behind that thing, and I was like, oh, if Damon was my legal, that would make for some hilarious parenting. Can you imagine Damon as a father?
Never know. He might be a good one if he actually had, like, a kid to look after, not a teenager who's practically an adult.
This is true. So we got to meet Stefan's doppelganger. Now, this is something, like, I know you weren't here for the past few weeks or whatever, but this is something I'd been going way, way back at the beginning of the season when we started talking about Silas and Amara, and I was like, how many other doppelgangers are there? I was like, there has to be another Stefan doppelganger, because I was like, wouldn't that Stefan doppelganger technically be attracted to this Elena? Like,
yeah,
so we met Tom Avery, and I was like, this Tom is supposed to be with an Elena her age, so I was like, there's got to be another one, because Catherine and Stefan were, I don't know, well, I guess Catherine and Stefan technically wouldn't even be it either, right? Because Catherine was a vampire before, so...
It seems like the doppelgangers are kind of not, at the same time, they're kind of like,
Well, there had to be ones that we didn't know about.
That's true.
So it started off Silas and Amara, then there was, what was, I don't even remember the name of the next one. It began with a T or something. It was the Elena one. there's some like other one that we saw like a long time ago. It was only in like one scene flashback. It was like some really weird scene. We only saw her once. And then Catherine. So there's two unknown Stefan doppelgangers at that time. If they line up, then it would be Stefan and an unknown Elena doppelganger. Because just before that, I'm assuming would have been Catherine and unknown Stefan. So then Stefan and an unknown Elena, and now Elena and Tom Avery seem like the pairing. So I don't know. The doppelganger's goal here is they want Stefan and Elena to be the last doppelganger. So do you think
the Travelers?
Or the Travelers? Yeah, sorry. The Travelers' goal is to have Stefan and Elena be the last doppelgangers. Do you think that's the case now? Because they did kill Tom Avery this episode.
I think that the Travelers have done enough research that Tom Avery was the last one that they need to get rid of, but they just couldn't find him.
Right. Why do you think Caroline decided to protect Tom, and she was basically going to have him run off and start a life somewhere?
Because she's a good person. She doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes. But, I mean, I think that's just Caroline's personality. That's just her... I mean, that's the way her mind works. She just doesn't want to kill, even though she's a killer, kind of thing.
Yeah, but doesn't the repercussions of that like affect Stefan? Like, doesn't she care about Stefan?
It would have, yes. They would have. The Travelers would have never let him go.
No, they would have fried his brain looking
for
him.
Well, the thing is, they fry his brain, he rejuvenates. They fry his brain, he perks of being a vampire.
But then, when they did this earlier to him. When Silas did it to him, or not Silas, it was actually Ketsia, I believe. At the beginning of the season, it fried his brain so bad that he lost his memory.
Yeah.
So I know that's a big concern Caroline has again, is she doesn't want that to happen.
I think, he would build a tolerance. Maybe the reason why he lost his memory the first time is because it was the first time. And, I don't know, it just seems like increasingly he was starting to become, eventually he would have gotten a vision, I'm sure, being completely coherent and, playing, poker with his buddies while they were humming and hawing over his temples,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just, it is a concern, and Caroline worries about Stefan more than just a friend, I think.
She does, and that seems like a very interesting dynamic that's playing out. What do you think's gonna happen? Do you think Stefan and Catherine are gonna hook up? This is a question my aunt came to me. My aunt was actually, she's been watching, and she goes, "You guys still doing those podcasts?" And I go, "Yeah." And she's like, I got to catch up watching yours," but she goes, "Stefan and Caroline better not get together, or I'm done watching the show." She's like so mad over it, but I think Stefan needs it.
I think it's a good matchup. The thing is, Stefan sees her as his best friend, much like that other blonde that he was best friends with that Damon killed last season. I think it was last season.
Begins with an L. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I
want to say Lassie, but that's definitely not right. I have Psych on my mind.
No. But I think that's how Stefan sees Caroline, as the best friend. But Caroline obviously wants something more, and since Tyler's a jackass and Klaus is out of reach, I mean, Stefan seems like the best thing that she can actually hold on to, and it'd be stable.
Yeah. Trying to look through here right now, and Lexi.
Yes, that was her.
With an L.
It did.
Yeah. I miss Lexi. I'm glad we got didn't we see her in the 100th? Was it the 100th episode or?
Yes, she did make an appearance, and she was telling Caroline that be a good friend to Stefan, and he needs it, and she's the right person for it, kind of thing.
Yeah. So, super, super excited about that. But I don't know. I wish we could get some more of her. I don't know really how they could do it other than with Bonnie and the anchor and all that, but I don't know. I was probably, I don't know, I feel like the more I start thinking about this season, I think this is the Vampire Diaries' weakest season so far. I don't know.
Not really.
I
I
haven't
mean,
been like writing wise.
writing wise, yeah. I mean, the story is actually on the strong side, but as far as like scripting and, lines and all that thing, it just seems a little weak. But as far as story goes, it's definitely not the weakest season that they've had.
Yeah, I mean, we started off. We had the whole doppelgangers thing at the beginning,
Mhm.
and then for we had the Augustines come in, and that was like a whole another section or whatever. Then we had the whole traveler's passenger kind of thing, and now this season, this part of the season, it's focusing on the travelers, and it looks like Marcos is going to be the big villain here on out, and I don't know. We went through the kind of like this huge evolution of stuff like really fast in this season, and I think everything just happened so fast that it was kind of overwhelming to the point where I couldn't enjoy it. It's like right when they started exploring what was it, the doppelgangers. I was like, oh, this is gonna kind of be cool. Like we get to see this or whatever. And then I got sick of it really quickly. I didn't realize how sick of the doppelgangers because it's kind of been an overarching thing through the whole show so
Yeah.
far. Um, but then when the Augustines started coming in, I got really excited again. And I was like, this seems like it's going to be really cool. And then that just died off really
Yeah,
quickly. And it's
it
like,
really didn't go anywhere. I
yeah,
mean, Damon just decided to kill them all.
it
And that
had
was
so
that.
much potential.
It did.
And then it disappeared. And then the passengers and Catherine, like, she's jumping bodies and, like, Gregor is jumping by. I was like, this is kind of cool. And then Catherine's gone and Gregor's dead, and we don't know where the hell Catherine's in purgatory of some sorts. We don't know if she's ever coming
Yeah.
back or if she will. And now they're going into the fourth part of this chapter with the travelers and Marcos, but then all the travelers just committed mass suicide.
I don't think it was mass suicide. It was more like mass sacrifice.
Yeah, and it seemed like their sacrifice was to get Marcel out, Marcel,
Mars.
Marcos
Mm-hmm.
out. So my theory on Marcos is he had actually died, and they were passing him on from the other side into a physical form.
And that's pretty much the only description. Well, that's the only way you can describe it at this point. It does seem like he was dead. He just kind of like formed himself out of what they did,
Right.
right out of Bonnie. Like he just stepped through the other side through Bonnie, and it'd be the same way that supernatural things when they die they step through Bonnie to the other side. Well, he came from the other side to our plane through Bonnie, which is I don't know what the effect on Bonnie would be. I mean, she's obviously hurting from all of the travelers going through, but somebody coming from the other side and taking physical form that might do some damage to her.
And it knocked her out. At the end of the episode, she's laying on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
unconscious, and
Yeah.
Marcos just barely, like, you see him form out of a shadow
Mm-hmm.
and takes physical form and walks off. We don't even get a very good look at his face. We saw a super shadowy face, but I don't know. What do you think we could expect from Marcos?
Trouble.
Trouble. I
Trouble.
I knew he was trouble when he walked in.
Oh. Yep.
Shame on me.
Well, it kind of makes sense because he just kind of walked in and we knew it. He was fucking trouble. There was even some ominous, like, back music and stuff. Definitely was trouble.
There was. Yeah, I don't know. Marcos, trouble. So obviously he needs the doppelgangers for something.
Their blood. Probably the same reason why Klaus would need doppelganger blood to achieve what he needs to do. I'm sure Marcos needs doppelganger blood to achieve whatever he needs to achieve.
Yeah. We had I don't know, like it seems the travelers, like, their whole goal was to take out Silas because he was immortal, right?
Right.
What if their goal is to take out all supernatural entities? What if it's not just the immortal beings, not just the vampires? What if it's
Well,
the doppelgangers? What if their goal, and they need the doppelganger blood to break the doppelganger curse?
I mean, yeah, okay, but like, I mean, you did say like all supernatural entities, and that would include themselves. Travelers herein by themselves do magic, and they are supernatural. So to remove all supernatural things would mean removing themselves, which I'm pretty sure there's probably not too many of them left, but um, it is possible that they need a doppelganger. Why can't I fucking see that word right
Tongue
now?
twister, rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Doppelganger blood to undo that, but I mean, what's the point? They are mortal. I mean, it's just them being their actual physical being carried on to another new generation after the old one has died or has become non-existent in some way, which way or form. And so I don't see how it's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, the blood has magical properties, but not many people know that. And the people who do, just kill them off. Just get rid of them.
I like blood.
Yeah.
Magical property. It keeps me alive.
Mm-hmm.
So something that I thought was super interesting was Liv. I thought she was going to be like this newbie witch, and Bonnie's training her and all this stuff. And we learn at the end of the last episode that that's not the case. That she's playing Bonnie for a fool.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is still kind of interesting. We'll see how this plays out. And then it's just like, spill the beans. And it's like, what? Like, why was the whole thing a secret if you're just going to not wait till like a crucial moment to like betray them and you're just going to say it? And
It kind of was a crucial moment.
How
It was,
so?
The way that the whole doppelganger thing works is they needed just the two. They needed the female and the male to, complete whatever they needed to do, basically. And the witches, Liv and Luke, were trying to prevent that from happening because in order for this ritual to work, there only had to be two. And Tom Avery was still existing. So once he died, they're like, we got to kill Elena because if there's only one, they can't do it. But if there's one of each, they still can.
That's true. Yeah, I guess. I feel like it should have been a little more impactful. It just...
It did seem lackluster. I mean, she just turned around. She's like, bitch, I ain't no newbie.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was no explanation.
Yeah, I don't
Really.
see the point in... I don't know. I don't see why it was necessary for them to keep themselves secret as witches. I think they could have accomplished everything that they needed to accomplish by being like, yeah, I'm a witch, I'll help you out.
Yeah, and basically they'd be like, well, this is the problem. We're witches. We're trying to prevent this. And I'm pretty sure they would have helped.
Yeah.
And the travelers wouldn't have gotten to the point where they're at right now.
Exactly. So the fact that they kept this a secret was even more detrimental to them in the first place. So that's why I'm like, the whole story with them just blows my mind. So, and I don't know where they could go with it that's going to keep my interest, but I've lost all interest in Luke and Liv. I don't care about them anymore.
Yeah.
The thing that I am interested, though, is their alliance now that they set with Jeremy. And
yes.
Jeremy, Tyler, and Matt are going to be working together to help them in their goal. But not only that, but Jeremy moved out of Damon and Elena's place, and they're going to have their own apartment, or they're going to, well, not apartment, but they're going to be living together. They're going to be in Tyler's house. So with Matt, Tyler, and Jeremy living in the same house, what kind of hijinks do you think we can expect from them?
Being that they have this alliance, and I mean, Jeremy's a very motivated person, and Elena is involved, and he's going to do everything possible to save her life. I don't think any hijinks is going to happen with those three, until this is all dealt with. I think they're going to be very, very, very preoccupied with trying to deal with this danger, so to speak.
Yeah. I think the only thing I forgot to mention before when we were talking about Stefan and Caroline seemed to be flirting a little bit with Enzo. She's kind of attracted to the bad boys, and
Yeah.
as much as she said she hates him or whatever, the same thing happened with Klaus, and you saw what happened with that. So, do you see a little bit of a Stefan, Caroline, Enzo love triangle going on?
Huh.
I'm sick of love triangles.
Yeah, me too.
There's so many of them. See, the love
Um,
triangles are boring you. They're putting you to sleep.
as I never really cared for the Enzo character. It just seemed one-dimensional. Like they've done it before, and they have. I mean, look at Klaus, but he wasn't one-dimensional. But I mean, it's the same
Klaus is
principle.
badass.
Same principle. He was a badass. He was charming. He was manipulative, and he was sly and all that stuff. So I mean, Enzo's pretty much the same thing, just a different backstory. And I never really was interested when they threw him in.
Yeah. Yep. Next week, I don't see. I'm so bad at this. I don't even have episode names. What the name of this episode, which I didn't state at the beginning, was Rescue Me. Next week's episode is called Resident Evil.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of based off the game, the movies. I don't know where they're going with that one.
Basically, that to me, when someone says Resident Evil, I just kind of like zombies.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I think of.
Yes. But Paul Wesley makes his directorial debut, which I think is awesome. So, Stefan will be directing this episode. I believe at Pallyfest, they talked about this very briefly, and Stefan said, Paul said, that does not mean that Stefan will not be playing a prominent role in the episode. He said, not too much Stefan, not too little Stefan. Probably, I think they used the Goldilocks adjective on that one. So, I'm excited to see. I love when you get the cast members doing directing and writing and stuff like that. I think that's really cool for them. Show's only been 5 seasons, and he gets a director role. I believe he's the first main cast member to have a director spot, and I believe Caroline Forbes, the actress that plays her, did do some writing for the show early on. So he's not the first cast member to be involved in the editing, behind the scenes part, but he's the first director, which is cool. But anyway, Paul and Stefan, both Elena and Stefan suddenly have unsettling dreams of an alternate version of the life they may have had together. So it looks like the doppelganger meant to be thing is triggering somewhere in the back of their head. They even did say at Pallyfest expect some of the old Stefan and Elena stuff in this episode, and now we find out why, because it's in a dream version.
Okay.
Is Elena boring you? You don't like Elena?
I don't know.
Bonnie has a disturbing encounter with Grams, who warns her about frightening changes on the other side. Love Grams. I think she's awesome. Enzo gives Damon unwanted relationship advice, then admits he is searching for a woman he loved decades before while he was held captive by the Augustines. Ooh. How do you think that's going to turn out? Do you think it's going to be someone we know, or is it going to be just some completely random person?
It'd be amazing if it was Rebecca.
My ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Because it would just...
She's no longer my future ex-girlfriend. She's now my ex-girlfriend.
She is now your ex-girlfriend.
We dated for one brief night.
It makes sense that it would, she'd be in it, briefly. I mean, she has done... The crossovers between the originals and Vampire Diaries, they do happen. So it is a thing to think that, maybe she's doing another crossover, and it's because of Enzo, but she's going to be like, bitch, I'm going other places. Sorry, I forgot about you a long time ago. Of course it's going to hurt him. But... Unfortunately,
Claire Holt is hanging up the Rebecca role for a little while, and she's moving back home to Australia for an undetermined period of time. She said she does enjoy the character. She would like to be back. And returning Mystic Falls, I believe she said that there's a cute football player back in Mystic Falls that she wouldn't mind seeing again. So Rebecca's not out of the question. I just don't think for this season. I don't think we'll be seeing any of her.
I mean, it's just a possibility. I mean, they have already done the recordings, obviously. They've already done that. So, I mean, if it is somebody we know, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, Rebecca's the most likely because she falls in love so easily. I don't know.
I'd like if it turned out to be Lexi and she's dead. That'd be awesome.
No.
I just want to see more flashbacks with Lexi. Anything to get Lexi back on the show.
That's true.
Let's see. Liv enlists Matt, Jeremy, and Tyler to help track the travelers and keep them from taking control of Mystic Falls. Bonnie is hurt and angry when she learns that Jeremy is working with Liv behind her back. Dun dun dun. Oh, I can understand that, but at the same time, like, suck it up, Bonnie.
Yeah, it's not like they're sleeping together, Bonnie.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand, like, being a little hurt because Jeremy didn't say anything, but a lot of stuff's been going on.
Yeah.
You've probably been unconscious through most of it, Bonnie.
Yeah, the danger is arising, and he's just stepping up and being like, okay, this works for me to help me get this done. So, I mean, I don't see why Bonnie's flipping out over that.
Yeah, I don't know. Luke shows up at the Salvatore house and explains that he knows about Marcos and the travelers to Damon, Elena, and Enzo. Matt has a terrifying encounter with inhabitants of the other side.
Whoa.
That's interesting. Matt has not died that we know of other than the ring, so I don't see how that would affect him. Unless people who died and were brought back through the ring can see on the other side, which I don't think was ever definitively answered. We know Jeremy can see on the other side because he actually died without the ring and Bonnie used magic to bring him back, but I don't know.
I'm trying to remember whether... Because it doesn't have to be death, it can be near death. Like,
yeah, but that's what happened with Jeremy.
You're on the brink. So I don't...
Jeremy drowned, remember? In the bottom of the pool. That was his near death. So I don't know.
I don't remember if Matt had a near death. I think
he's been killed before. We know that much. But he had the ring on.
Yeah, through the ring. But I mean, near death without the ring. I think it was... So. He might have. It actually might have been recent.
The safe? When...
I don't think he was... I think he was just gasping for air at that point.
Yeah, I know Rebecca had him locked in the safe.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. And finally, when Damon finds Marcos, he is both relieved and disturbed by what Marcos has to tell him. Interesting. I cannot wait. So that will be back this week, April 17th. We've had a 2-week break between, but took a little while to get around to this podcast.
Yeah.
So anyway, glad to have you back, Umi. And where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
Don't sound so enthusiastic. You can find me down below at Phenomenon. PHENOMEDOM.
You're looking at me to sing something, but
something's
I'm not gonna.
Missing.
Yeah,
I can't quite put my finger on it.
Cleo, where's Cleo? She can sing it just fine. Cleo, we need Cleo.
Oh well. Anyway, you can find us both and others on tvcaptive.com as well as ASOTV podcast on Facebook, Google+, Gmail, Twitter, and right here on YouTube. Feel free to follow, like, subscribe, comment, question. We'll answer it. We'll do it. We'll probably even put it on the next show.
Oh, yeah. Ew, you got your kitty all dirty.
Till next week.
Ew.
See you guys later.